Hi, this is Joel with the Fancy Farm. We wanted to give you an update on our well. You've seen before we've released video that we had water going. I've wired it for a generator, and I'll go through that in detail later. But one of the problems we have is the well was not had sat for 7 years since it was drilled, and it had never been pumped or anything. And so we started out with some relatively clear water, and it just got progressively worse, and the water actually got pretty bad. So Dree and I we decided to try and pump the well dry and just try and pump it out. So we've pumped it dry several times. The water has improved, so it's gone from like a carrot juice to like kind of like a gray sort of look. It seems to taste fine. It doesn't, but the water's improved, but it's never gotten good. And then our neighbors came down from below us. They've been a big blessing to us and offer a lot of advice. And when they put in their well, they had to shock it considerably with a lot of bleach, pump it dry, and then shock it again. And eventually they said it just cleared up. So that's what Drea has done. So she took the cap off the well and shocked it with 6 gallons of bleach the other day. She let it soak in there for several hours, and then she pumped the well until we get no water pressure. We know the water's down to the level of the pump, and then we stop. You know, there's always that standing water in the bottom, so eventually it'll cycle itself through, and we have to work that. Now, when she was done that, she shocked it with another 3 gallons of bleach, and so it's sat. That bleach has been working in there, and we just came down to try and pump it again. I want to show you what that bleach did to our water. This right here, this kind of carrot juice looking stuff, this white foam on top is the chlorine from the bleach, but that's what that bleach did to the water. It's releasing, I believe there's rust in here. There's probably some of that. You know, I don't know if there's red algae. I know sunlight doesn't get down there, so I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about wells, but I'm expecting this is some things. And it smelled quite strongly of bleach, so we have about with the depth of our well and where I've set the pump, we have almost 300 gallons of available water at any time. So we have just pumped it again until we lost water pressure. This is what we started with, and this is what it looked like just before we lost water pressure. You can see it's a lot more, kind of more like, I don't know, pear juice or peach juice there from the carrot juice. And so it's getting progressively better. So what we're going to do is we're going to let it sit overnight, and we're going to pump that well again tomorrow and kind of see. And the idea is to try and cycle that water through, get all the loose rust kind of free, and try and get it to a clear looking water. We're just going off the advice we've had, and I don't know if any of you have good advice for us. We'd love to hear it. Feel free to pipe up in the comments and let us know. But we just kind of want to give you an update on where that's at and what's going on with that. So, yeah, we're hoping that the shocking method will do it. I'm at a bit of a decision. I can't decide whether to shock with another 3 gallons tonight and have to go through all that pumping again. And what makes me leery is we need water up there for washing, so I'm gonna have to fill a big tote of water. And so I'm hoping to kind of see what the color is in the morning, or tomorrow afternoon. We'll give you guys an update. We'll let you know how it's going, and then whether or not I make another decision at that time to shock it once more, we'll decide tomorrow. But just wanted to give you guys an update on what's going on here with our well. So, yeah, just wanted to show you this and see what you guys thought. And you'll see we wired in the well for a generator. So I actually purchased, this is submersible wire, and it's just kind of loose in a coil right now. The eventual idea is to build a structure here that has a pressure tank and a jet pump in my solar system. And then at that point, this will come through conduit, through a ditch into that little house. But for now, I've just put my extra here, you know. We have a frost free right here, which I'll extend that. It's about 12 inches out right now from the pitless adapter, and that will be extended over into the little building. It's relatively simple to wire. I would encourage you guys, if money's a concern and you want to do your own well, feel free to do it. Go to a well supply store. They'll help set you up. They gave me the submersible wire, The pump has color-coded wires on it. It's just green to green, yellow to yellow, red to red, black to black. You come with a waterproofing kit of heat shrink that you put over your connectors, and you heat shrink it on, and that waterproofs it. You know, I would personally, I would probably spend the money and buy a good quality well pump. From what I've heard, you know, you can buy cheaper ones, but you end up buying cheaper ones over and over, and it becomes more expensive. So I just wired it to here. I got a pump control box from a local well supply store, and I'll have you come over and look at it. And this is just something that comes from them. It's a control panel. There's a start capacitor and a relay. Looks very confusing, but this comes pre-wired. You don't have to worry about that. So what you're looking for is a pump control box. Very simplistic here. It's a little bit confusing because we have all these colors coming in here, the same color, so I had to be careful to keep track. But basically what we got going on here is the green is always your ground, so you ground that out, okay? And we have a red wire that comes in here, so red, yellow, black. You really can't mix it up. So you put the red wire on, the yellow wire, and the black wire, and that is the wires going to the pump. Now, to power this, I've decided to power it with 240 volts. And so I need a ground and I need 2 hot leads. So I don't need the yellow wire. So the yellow wire is sitting here bare just to kind of scare you a little bit. And this is just a temporary generator set up right now. It's functional, it's waterproof, and it's working. And that just hooks up the black to L1 or red to L2, and I believe you can mix those up and it doesn't actually matter that much. Don't let this scare you. It comes pre-wired. You can get a low water pressure sensor that you put in here, and it senses when your well is low and shuts your well off for a designated amount of time. It comes with instructions. I purchased one. It's fairly easy to install. You pull off this yellow and black wires. It clips onto there and clips into the capacitor. It's relatively simple, comes with good directions. But our low pressure sensor seemed to fail, or maybe the directions aren't quite as easy as I make it seem, and I failed. Either way, I had to eliminate that low water shutoff. And then my well would pump. I couldn't get it to pump with that wired. And so maybe I have a faulty thing. I still have to take that back to the manufacturer and have them let me know. So, but don't let this scare you. This is something you can purchase. It's relatively simple. Red, yellow, black, and then your 2 hot leads, and your other ground comes through here. All right, and then that just clips on there. I've put a temporary post here. It's nothing too fancy. That clips on. You put a screw in here to keep it from moving. These wires here, I didn't want to use too much because this is just temporary. I didn't want to waste the cable, so I got a relatively small lead going up here to the generator. Our generator has a 240 volt plug on it right here. The reason I want to use 240 volt is it draws less amperage. It's a little easier. Yeah. The yellow wire, I didn't bother to unwrap it because this is temporary and I want to keep this wire intact for future purposes. I purchased this plug at the local hardware store. I read on here, it said I need a NEMA L1430 is what this plug is. So I went to the hardware store and I looked for a male NEMA L1430. And so I was able to plug it right in here. It fits. Now, one advice that the guy at the well store gave us is that well pump, when you turn it on, it immediately generates pressure. And if you leave your frost-free bib, you don't want to back it up. You don't want to leave your hose closed for that well without a pressure sensor. You can put a pressure sensor switch which doesn't let that pump just take off and start pumping like crazy, and it saves your pump. But we don't have a pressure sensor on this well, and so technically that motor, when you fire it up, is just pumping so hard but it can't go anywhere, so it starts cavitating and then the motor doesn't cool proper and it'll burn your motor out. So what we do is we always leave the frost-free wide open so the hose can always flow. In our case, we're just filling a tank or running it through a hose to water livestock, which we actually don't do anymore. We've come up with a different system, but we still have that capability. So we start the generator first, because when you first start a generator, it gets peak power and then it kind of settles out. You don't want to hit that expensive $1,400 pump with that peak power, you might be burning things out. It's hard on the pump. So we always start the generator first, give it a few seconds to run, and then we plug the plug in like that. We park just perfectly to where it fits. Now, this is a little bit redneck and not so fancy. I'd probably suggest in hindsight to put just a switch so you can plug it in, fire up your generator, and have an on and off switch. Once the generator settles out after that first few seconds, you flip the switch, and that would work well, and it would look a lot more professional than this. However, this functions. You got to be careful when you go to plug in. You got to commit to it and plug. None of this like, oh, is it going to shock me? Because you'll start arcing out in here. You'll mess up your plug, mess up your male ends, and maybe mess up your generator machine. So all of which I don't want to mess up. You know, this is an investment, and that pump's an investment, and we want to take care of our investment. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to give you a rundown. I don't want you guys scared of trying to wire your own pump. So yeah, and then as far as the shocking is going, that's something that we're learning as we go on, and we look forward to giving you an update. And yeah, we're kind of excited about showing you, and excited to find out if this works or if we end up having to put a filtration system on it. But we're hoping this works and we can take the water in, get it tested for potable water, and that's the goal. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.